Football made simple. Become great at your craft by finding ways to make it simple for those around you. This is the Coaching 101 podcast hosted by Find a Way Productions with your co-hosts, Daniel Chamberlain and Kenny Simpson. What is happening, coaches? This is the Coaching 101 podcast. I'm Daniel Chamberlain, host. That over there is Coach Kenny Simpson. We are, we're jumping in a little bit late this morning, so expect a shorter episode, but it should still be a super good one. We're closing out season 7 here in the next 3 or 4 weeks. It's been a good one. It's been a really fun season trying to share some resources, and here as we get to the end, we kind of wanted to talk today about keeping things simple, keeping a simple system, because it is clinic season, Kenny. You've talked about that. You got your clinics going on. We're doing a clinic, and we'll talk about those in just a moment. But Glazier's going crazy. People are going all over the place for clinics, and it's super easy to pick up too much stuff and bloat or inflate your system beyond what it needs to be. And so I think it's a great time to throw an episode out here just talking about keeping things simple and how you're going to win more games with simplicity than you are by trying to run every single thing of every coach you saw this spring or winter. So, it should be a super good one.
Yeah, I hope so. I mean, I think you nailed on the head, Daniel. This is the dangerous time of year from now till probably May. This is the time of year where most coaches have probably made a decision, on what scheme they want to do, or close. They're probably pretty close on how I want to run this or I want to run that. You've probably already done it, hopefully, done a little bit of research into that system. And then if you're, a guy that listens to football podcasts, or a guy that likes to go to football YouTube, or a guy that likes to go to football Twitter, or me or Daniel, because we're those guys too, then it becomes danger time of there's a lot of really good stuff. Nothing's bad. Like, people don't post bad clips on Twitter or YouTube or on podcasts. Right. Like, they're not posting things that don't work. All this stuff works. The problem becomes, like Daniel mentioned, how much is too much. And so you start looking, okay, who are these great offensive coordinators at all levels? I think the Bears offensive head coach, who was an OC with Detroit, really, really good at what he does. But then you really break down, what is he doing? They're very good at simple things. And then you can get creative with your pen. Like, I think that's where we lose it as a coordinator sometimes is, teach how to block, teach how to catch, teach rules. And then you can get a little more creative down the road. If you jump ahead to creative first and not fundamental, it can crumble on you. And I think that's what I'm going to talk about that a lot today as we're going through being simple. Ironically, it's probably 2 years away, but a book, Daniel and I were just talking about the book we're writing. That's going to come out in about a year, maybe a little less than a year. But I've got one about 2 years down the road, and it's called Do Less, Win More: How to Keep Things Simple in Everything You Do in Life. And so I was just working on that book actually yesterday, so it's fresh on my mind. But I'm excited about this podcast. That won't be out for 2 years if you're interested. Hopefully I'll make it a good one.
When you're writing so many books that you have to put them in the chute 2 years down, like, I think things are going okay. That's pretty good, right?
Yeah, it is. Well, and these books, like the one we're writing, Daniel and I are writing, we could probably rush it out and get it out in a month or two, but I would rather it be really good. Like, that's kind of where I am now with books. I've got a couple books, unfortunately, if you guys bought them, that I probably rushed, and I hope you still enjoyed them. But I'm at the point now where I would rather let's make it perfect before we spit it out. Like that Buck book we put out, I spent a lot of time on that. That's been in the work for a long time. Right. It came out, we sold out of all the first shipment, sold out all the second shipment. And so finally got my next shipment in. If you're interested, that Buck book is available. I finally got some copies at the house. We had to go to a clinic, Daniel. We had the book and a piece of paper that said, you can't have this book. You can order it when the next one comes in, because I had not ordered enough. Miss Jamie was not very happy with me. But we did get another shipment that finally came in, so we can fulfill orders if you are interested in getting that book.
Love it, man. Let's real quick, Kenny, let's get in the quote of the week, and then we'll go into the rest of our ads.
Yeah. Quote of the week, coming from Team Themes Volume 6, which will come out probably sometime around July. That's when I've been putting those books out. This one's from John Wooden. The theme for this chapter is poise. So again, this will be a new team theme book coming out. If you haven't used those books, you can go over to FB Coach Simpson and find Team Themes 1 through 5. All pretty good books. They have quotes, video clips, discussion questions, general overview of the point. We use them with our kids. It's been a really, really good thing. This one is from the newest book, Team Themes Volume 5 from John Wooden. It says, most people think of poise as calm, self-assured dignity, but I call it just being you. When you maintain your poise, you're being yourself. You're not acting. You're not trying to be something you're not. I thought that was pretty good because a lot of times we think as an athlete or a coach, we have to kind of put on like an acting mask, like be different than what you are to try to stay calm in big moments. And I think it's good to have people that are calm in big moments, but I also think we've had kids that have succeeded in big moments that they're not calm. Like they're excitable. That's who they are. That's what they do. And I would prefer that, yeah, we might want to rein it in and keep things where we need to be, but we need to be who we are. And I think if we're in that mode, we got a better chance to succeed than if we're trying to be something that we're not.
This is great because we watched Signetti win the national championship this year, and you watch him on the sidelines, and there's no emotion. Like that's his
The
poise.
sarcastic eyebrow raises and
Yeah, right. So he's just there's no, and it almost sometimes seemed fake for like a cause, right? He almost has like an agenda. Like I'm not going to let you know what I'm feeling. But my favorite coach is Brent Venables, and watching him on the sidelines is a show in theatrics. I mean, he is putting on a drama with it, and that's me. That is me. I am excitable. I am pumped up. I am fist pumping. I am running down the field with a guy that's broke a long run. I'm energetic. I am so pumped just to be on the sidelines. Honestly, like you don't want the bad things to happen, but anyway. So it's good to see both of those can be successful coaches, and I love this saying you don't have to be. You don't have to stand on the side like a sidelines like a statue, right? Like be you, just go be you, and people will respect that.
Yeah, and that's ironic because I am more that way. Like I can get fired up, but for the most part, I'm pretty calm. And that's not because I'm being someone different; it's because I'm getting old. Like I can't run up and down the sidelines anymore like I used to. So
Kenny tore an ACL, jumping and hooping and hollering.
correct. Well, that's what a lot of what we see. We see these super successful coaches. Well, they're in their 60s, or they're in their 70s, or they're in their 50s. Go back and look at them when they were in their 20s, and then their 30s. And if that's who you are, you're right in line with what that needs to be.
I love it. Yep, exactly. Let's jump out here real quick. Let's talk about some ads. Ace Sports. If you haven't gone over to acesports.com and checked them out yet, please do. Go check that out. Go look at Kenny's. Go look at Southside's video board. Go look at Bixby's video board. There's tons of various sizes of video boards and types. I like Kenny's because he's got a screen and a scoreboard. Some people just have the full screen. Go look at and kind of start building your dream board there. Reach out to mark.bridges at acesports.com, and he can get you all the details. Kenny's the proof in the pudding there. I mean, we're over $2 million raised in essentially a 7-year span on 2 different boards, 2 different schools. But if you tell me I can put up a video board and put $1 million in the bank in 7 years, like I don't know an AD or a school board that's going to say no to that. So something to think about if you guys are looking for some ammo to get you a sweet little board. Winning Edge Performance Analytics. I got a text from Doug yesterday, which has been really cool to keep up with him. And he said he's putting out some. So I've got a planned phone call with him. We're going to see all the new stuff going in next year. He's talking a lot about analytics breakdown for an opponent now. So up until now, it's really been about you and analyzing your stuff and having reports, on the snap reports of what plays are hitting for you, what players are doing well, what schemes, etc. And so this year he's getting into kind of looking into the future and analyzing opponents. So I'm excited to see what's coming on there. winningedgeperformanceanalytics.com. Jump over there, use the promo code 20OFF Coaching 101 to get 20% off your first year. And of course, Blended Threads LLC. Morgan is down there doing great things. She has helped us at Adaptable. She made some sweet jackets for us. She's doing some things for the football coaching podcast for our clinic coming up, which we'll talk about in just a moment. And I mean, I have loved sending schools to her. And so far, I've seen all good products. They're doing wonderful things. So reach out. Morgan at blendedthreadsllc.com should be the place to reach out and get any kind of quotes or whatever. Just make sure you let them know the podcast sent you. Talking about clinics, we had the 425 defensive clinic going on in Boston. That is 13 and 14 March. We are just past. You guys have just missed the early bird pricing, but that's okay. We've got a few seats left. We'd love to have you guys in. So jump in, get over to joedanielfootball.com/425 Boston and go see. There's staff pricing. If you're bringing more than 3, the staff price is going to be better for you. If you're going to do less than 3, probably get individuals, or just find more coaches to drag with you and buy a staff pass. Honestly, that's the way to do it. Like I said, I think we're starting around 3:30 or so that Friday night in Boston. So, or Friday afternoon. Come check out the 425 defensive clinic. Kenny, I know you got a ton of gun T clinics going on.
Yeah, if you're listening live, which I don't know if you guys are, Sacramento's coming up this weekend, which is February 20th and 21st, I think. Make sure I'm looking right. Yeah, 21st. I'll be in Houston, February 27, 28. I'll be in Ohio, March 6th and 7th. I'll be in Boston. Same weekend, Daniel will be there. I'm bringing my boy with me. He's never been to Boston, so he's pretty fired up to be there. March 13, 14. And then I'm going to be in Tampa, March 20, 21. And there's more in April, but that gives you kind of the boom, 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 boom. If you're interested in coming to any of those, you can sign up over at FP Coach Simpson or the new website, guntsystem.com. Both of them have the clinics on there.
Absolutely. Kenny, I'll kind of put this up. My family's using Boston to go up and see the city as well. I think we're flying in the 10th. So we're going to cut a couple days. So if you guys want to fly in early and come hang out with my crazy bunch, by all means, like let's meet up and we can talk ball a little bit or not ball. I don't care.
I think I'm going up Thursday. I'm bringing him up Thursday. And if I always rely on Daniel. If he finds a hockey game or something, I'll probably hang out with him and go do that. So.
Yeah, we're going to Fenway to take a tour on we may push Thursday, but anyway, it's going to be pretty cool that the kids put on uniforms, swing bats, run the bases. It's supposed to be a really neat deal. So bring your cats, bring your kiddos, your wife, whoever, come make it a good time. Let's jump into it here, Kenny. Part 1, we're talking about a simple scheme, and in fact, why a simple football offense is going to win more games than trying to run something super complex. This is always guys watch the NFL and you go listen, who are the greatest play callers of all time? And I mean words. John Gruden always comes to mind, right? Because his 35 word plays, killing it, having a second play, maybe a third play. Like there's all these things going on, right? Bill Walsh, right? We've talked about some of these guys in the past. I'm not even saying the play call being complex is going to hurt you, but you don't have to go out and copy paste John Gruden's offense for a high school offense, right? It's just not something you need. You don't need that complexity. But first, I guess we got to really talk about, Kenny, what is a simple scheme? So while I'm trying to compare, make sure it's apples to apples here. What is a simple scheme versus something complex?
And this is probably where I'm a little bit different as you kind of get into this world. I think that it is okay to have a complex looking offense to your opponent. Like, I think it's okay to have a complex looking offense to the fans in the stands. I think it's okay to have a complex offense to coaches. I don't think it's okay to have a very complex offense at the high school level to your players. And so I think that's where I kind of draw the line.
Yes.
And that's why I like John Gruden. The more I'm around, like the reason he was having all those words was he was having to tell every single person what to do. So it was super complex to him and anyone trying to run that system. But for the players, it probably wasn't, because they just heard why banana, and I know what banana is, and I'm the why. I know what to do. So I think that's kind of how we've tried to structure our offense. Now, we're not nearly as wordy as John Gruden is, but the idea that we can speak to specific players and have them do things where no one else has to learn anything different. I think that's kind of where we're going. So when I think about simple, I don't want to go into the gun T a ton, but when I think about simple, that's kind of what comes to my mind is simple for the kids. Like, it's simple for the kids, and it's something that the person who's running it has a great understanding of. Like, so that's going to be limited. It was limited by me when I was a young coach, and it was limited by me, 2 years ago, and it was limited by me last year. I hope as a coach, I'm growing. So I don't mean to come off as an arrogant whatever person here, but as you grow in your own system, you can handle more as a coach, if that makes sense. When we started running our offense, we were not as formation heavy because I didn't really have a grasp yet of how those manipulated the defense. We were not as RPO heavy because I didn't really have a grasp of how to do that. As I've learned, we've been able to layer our offense more. So now when you play us, we have more options that we can pull from. We've tried to always keep it simple for our kids, but as I have grown as a coach, I've been able to add levels of complexity to present to a defense that don't really force our kids to do too much more. And I don't mean to take I don't want to come across here and say you can't give your kids responsibility. Of course you need to. You need to challenge your kids. You need to have them grow with you. However, if you're at a public high school like I am, you have to understand what you're working with. And so if you make your offense very complex for the athletes, you're going to have several kids that can't play for you. And that was one of the things that used to bother me a ton. We had a basketball coach at a school I was at that the great athlete would go down there and go, I can't use this kid. So he's literally the best athlete on your team and can drop 25 points. I know he can't learn all your plays. Maybe that ought to challenge you as a coach to modify what you're doing instead of sit him on the bench. And so I never wanted to be like that coaching football. I never wanted to have where, this kid will never be able to play quarterback for us. Well, he's the best athlete in the whole school we've ever had. I need to figure that out. So for me, you've got to make sure it's simple enough where those kids can run it. And some years for us, we don't have to be as simple with our kids. We can be a little more complex at specific positions. My son played for me this year at our wingback. He had more things that we've done with our wingback than we've ever done because he's grown up in this. He's grown up with a coach. He's a 30-something ACT. He can handle that, so we could grow that. When the sophomore, first year in the system, would go in for him, we had to take some of that out. It's not because that kid's not smart. It's just because he's first year doing it. So you need to have a system that can give the appropriate amount of responsibility to the appropriate kid when the time comes. So it's not simple for you as a coach. It won't be simple for you as a coach. And then the last part I put on here was you have to have such a good knowledge of what you're running to make those changes year to year. Like year to year, we have this kid in here. Here's the changes we're going to make. Then you have to have such a good knowledge of your offense. You can make the changes immediately during the game. Like you have to have that ability to make the changes. You cannot make changes to every single scheme you have if you have 1,000 schemes, 100 schemes, 35 schemes. However, if you're living and dying with these are our base schemes, now I can build in adjustments, be that a personnel grouping, be that a formation, be that an RPO, be that a play action, whatever it might be. I can build that in if I have enough understanding of my offense. I've kept it simple enough where I can do this. We can make these quick adjustments. We call those tags. I know Daniel does too, but you can't have a tag off of your 300 concepts and have a real big understanding of it.
Yeah, the simplicity is always the weird word, and I hate because it seems like it means elementary to a lot of people, right? Well, you're just going to run this. You're going to run like one play, 2 plays. You're going to run 2 formations in 2 plays, and no, we're not. We're not going to be elementary with this, right? But you do need your kids to be able to understand and go quickly with whatever it is you're doing, to be able to communicate it quickly. I obviously see the idea when we're talking John Gruden, and you got to tell every player what to do. But I also know what John Gruden has to be ready to do. He's got to be ready to accept his ownership trades his next 3 first-round picks for the best wide receiver in the game. And now he's got to put that guy in on Sunday, and he's got to be productive. You don't have to do that in high school quite so much. You generally get the same kids from, I mean, our cutoff for the transfer portal now is like July 14th or something. Okay. So from mid-July through the end of the season, we traditionally know who we're going to have on the team. And so barring a kid leaving, you probably aren't adding anyone. They might be walking the hallways and you pick them up, but that's going to be a very special occasion. So, I do tend to lean on the kids a little more, especially, I know we're talking offense today, but on defense, the safeties call the defense in my system more times than not. We're giving them a few looks here. If you get twins, this is what I want. If you get a pro look with a tight end and a split off, then this is what we want. So, we kind of let them quarterback the defense, especially if we get to a place we need a split field. We got two safeties. But offensively, we really live in like that one word with some tags type scenario. And it's so we can answer questions. So if I go out and call that whole play, we talk about, what was it? Spider 2, Y banana or whatever, right? But then you got to kill that to get to another thing, or I've got to say all those words and then tag 2 or 3. It just gets very wordy and we start running out of time. So the simplicity for me is moving things to less words. I know Bo Collins has been on the podcast, a good friend of mine over at Farmington right now, but Bo and I kind of laughed, and he told me about a time he went to a clinic or something, and he was like, a guy got up and said, yeah, we run, here's our iPro near, wedge, Z this, X that, whatever. And he said, oh, yeah, we just call that Skittles, right? And it's like, oh, man, that is a lot simpler. Now, each kid has to know what Skittles means to them, but all in all, the kids can word associate. Skittles means this is inside zone with a backside insert or whatever, right? So simple doesn't always mean running very little stuff. It just means making it where your kids can understand it. Kenny Ridley's the one that kind of told me, maintain the expectations. Whatever you expect out of your kids is what you're going to get out of them. Now, you can't go out and expect them to run 3 NFL offenses at the same time. That's ridiculous. You can't do that either. But, you don't also have to water down everything you're doing because you don't think your kids can keep up. I've learned here the last 6 years that the more you lean into them, the more they give you, and they're hungry to learn. There's always going to be a kid you got to make exceptions for. And I don't care if it's an O lineman, you put a stinking a red armband on his left and a blue one on his right, or I guess vice versa, those blue on the left and red on the right, and tell him this is a blue play, and then tell everybody else what he's doing. That's fine. You can simplify for one kid, oversimplify, I should say, but you don't have to water down what you're doing. The kids are going to get it a lot. So, I think simple just means something that you understand, you can problem solve on the fly, and that your kids understand. And once you get there, I think you're going to be okay. Coaches as well. We need to talk coaches a little bit too, right? Coaches got to be able to coach up their position group. They got to know what's going on. So getting everybody on the same page, letting them think fast and do that stuff at game speed is the key. We kind of covered this one already a little bit, but what are some reasons why you think simple wins more games than the complex stuff?
Well, I mean, like I said, we kind of hit into it, but the main thing is why things aren't working. Like I think that's a big thing, and I'll give you. I think one of the great play callers in the NFL right now is the Patriots play caller. I think he does a really good job with
McDaniel.
I would say a limited, McDaniel. I think he does a good job with a limited grouping. Obviously, you've seen what he did when he had Tom Brady and went back to the Super Bowl with, I thought, not a great team. No offense to them, but I think he does a really good job. And you watched the second half of the Super Bowl, which was not a good game for them. But he was able to make adjustments within his scheme quickly to at least give him a chance. The Seahawks were pretty good. I mean, it was going to be difficult, but he was able to kind of make some adjustments as he went. I think that's when I look for a play caller of who's good, it's somebody who knows why things aren't working. Like, anybody can go, well, we dropped that. Okay, yeah, obviously. Like, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about, like, why are our base sets not working with this formation, with this personnel group? Why is it not working? Why are we struggling with, a nose tackle on whatever run play we've called? Why are we struggling with edge perimeter blocking on this concept? you have repped this stuff so much, you know the adjustments off of that. And if you're really good, your kids know them. Like our kids have started to pick up on things like, hey man, if we're cracking a safety or blocking a DB and he's flying upfield, they'll kind of look over at me. They know what the RPO is. They want me to call it because they know this could be a big one for me.
Yes.
Or our O line, same deal. Like our O line, hey coach, they're giving us X, Y, and Z. Look, we need to go to this concept because that'll, like for us, we run buck and we run pin and pull, and knowing when to call which. Now our kids are starting to kind of know, hey coach, they're playing this kind of technique. This will be better for us because we've really hammered home this is what our identity is going to be on. And so we can make these adjustments mid-game. I think that's the ultimate test of, is your offense, and the word Daniel used, simple, which I would use too, simple enough as you can make those adjustments. You're going to be a whole lot more, in my ability, a lot more confident making those adjustments when everyone's kind of on the same page. Everybody knows what you're going with. I think that the kids will play more confident. I think that's big. Like a kid's playing fast and playing confident. I think the first guy to really come around with that he was at Oregon. I'm blanking on his name, Chip Kelly.
Yes.
Who came around with fast offense, one word. Noel Mazzoni's kind of in that grouping too. They started kind of figuring out if we use these really simple concepts and we play really fast, that's also an advantage to our kids. Like playing fast with simple concepts can help us. So I think offensively, you can't do that if your concepts aren't simple. Like you can't, like John Gruden in the huddle giving a 35-word whatever, he has to have a 2-minute package where it's really simple. And some guys have decided that's our whole offense. Why not make that our whole offense? Because we can be simple, we can move. So that's kind of where you get into this world of you got to make decisions on how simple are we going to be. Some of that needs to be determined on what kind of tempo do you want to run. How many of your kids go both ways? How many of your, those are questions you've got to ask. What's our football IQ on our team? Those are the questions you've got to ask on how simple we're going to keep it, because that's what's going to show up in the game. And it'll show up if you're not being simple enough with kids playing slower, blown coverages, blown blocking assignments. For us, we may get beat. It happens. I never want to get beat due to a pre-snap alignment. I never want to get beat due to not knowing my responsibility. I never want to get beat doing not knowing where my eyes are supposed to go. So is our offense or defense simple enough that every kid on our team knows before the concept, here's what's coming?
Yeah.
They may get beat, but they know what they're supposed to do and what's coming. Those are the questions you need to ask as you're getting into this February to May time period of, is it realistic to expect this kid to know we want to run 5 coverages? Well, how does that look against empty? What about empty trips? What about, empty quads? What about tight end nub? What about, all these things? Can my kid know his rule? You can run 5, you can run more coverages if you want to, if you can keep his rule very simple, where this is your check to any tight end look, is your check to any trips look, is your check to, now you have the ability to get more complex with your structure because you've trained your kid's eyes and his rules to a smaller list, if that makes sense. Kind of think, in the book I'm writing, I compare it to like a funnel.
Yes.
At the top of the funnel is the coach. You're taking all this information in, then you're bringing it in, and that's where your assistant coaches are going to kind of come in. Your position coaches are going to come in. You bring it in a little bit more. That's where probably your more intelligent, more football IQ, more football savvy, experienced players are going to live. And then at the bottom of the funnel is that sophomore you got to play. Like he's got to be able to function within this funnel for our system to be able to be successful. So kind of think of it that way.
Yeah, and I've never really thought about, kids can move up the funnel too, right? And that's kind of a freshman to a sophomore to their senior year. They can take more and more because they've had more experience out there. Sometimes they're up there and you don't even know it. You aren't feeding them anymore, but they're picking it up on their own. So
Right.
that's actually good. I wanted to go back and comment on your 2-minute drill thing and how some coaches are flipping to where like it's always 2-minute drill. How many times have you seen a stalemate of a game and then, oh my gosh, it's about to be halftime, and all of a sudden a team goes for 75 yards on 4 passes and scores, right? And it's like, why didn't you do that the rest of the game? Like, what were you doing for a quarter and 3 quarters, right? Like that's why not this all the time? So I think it's a good point, is like sometimes those super simple, fast-paced things just get people in a rhythm. You can also go out there and throw incomplete passes 3 in a row and give them the ball back, and they're going to have their own 2-minute drill. But there is some merit there, right? Like I hate watching a game that's boring. Not boring. I love defensive struggles, but nobody can move the rock. Nobody can move the rock. 2-minute drill. All of a sudden, it's a touchdown. Like
boom, boom, boom.
Yeah. How did you not see that and get to that sooner? So anyway, I think the reasons why simple wins more games than complex is, and you've touched some of these, but I want to give my side here. Better execution in the fundamentals. So if you let's just look at gap scheme versus zone scheme. If you never teach a single zone scheme thing, and you figure out how to cover all those runs in gap scheme, your kids are going to be that much better at gap scheme, right? We didn't have to split my install for a zone day and a gap day. I didn't have to split any of my practice time throughout the week for inside outside zone and then power counter, duo, pin and pull, buck, right? You can simplify, let your kids practice the fundamentals of gap scheme more, or zone scheme. I'm not saying you have to pick gap. I love watching Nick Caduti and everything he's doing down in Texas right now, and he's just outside zone. Mm-hmm. Once again, he's just practices the fundamentals of outside zone over and over and over, and now his kids are that much better at it. So keeping things limited in that sense, I think helps you execute better in those fundamentals. Fewer mental errors at game speed. So, if kids go out and they have less things, and Kenny, I'm leaning towards flipping my line in my system because I've seen you do it and it makes so much sense. If your strong tackle is always a down blocker, he never has to worry about being the puller on GT. That's not even a buck system, right? Like he knows I'm either down blocking over here or I'm down blocking over here. There's not a lot of things coach has me doing. So I can even take more off his plate. And allows you to put athletes that need to pull and kick and pull and wrap in those places too. And I carry a lot less buck than you do. So my guards can't both be my stud athletes. It's got to be a guard tackle. But still, fewer mental errors because they just have less things to do. You can watch NFL teams, and I don't like seeing it, but it does normalize to me that what we're doing is not wrong. Our mistakes doesn't make us bad coaches. But when the Philadelphia Eagles 2 guards pulled and ran into each other because they were both running gap scheme away from themselves, and on the inside I went, haha, yep, we have that, right? We've seen that. And it stinks, but it's real. And so if one of them is never a puller, then why would he pull? He's never going to be the puller. So he shouldn't even practice pulling. Once again, limits mental errors, limits the practice reps you got to give them. And then the ability to add looks without adding complexity. So once again, get back in that modular tagging system. Look, if you want to pull your front side tackle, right? You're trying to run pin pull, whatever the problem is, the answer is pull him and tag him to force him to pull. Great, do it. And now you can attach that to inside zone, and now you've got truck toss, or outside zone, and now you got truck toss. Or you can do it to run and buck away, and now you've got a version of a kind of a ghost pull, or a manipulating pull, right? We're gonna tag this one stupid tackle pull to the boundary, and then we can attach that to anything. Now I got dart, and all I did was run inside zone backwards. You can just do so many things, and your kids are like, okay, cool, we're running this play with this tag. You can do it in a passing situation and roll out behind him. It doesn't matter. That tag becomes universal, becomes modular. You can use it wherever you want. Obviously, not all those are going to be super sound. I'm making that up on the fly, but the point is, if you just want to run a speed out with a number 2 receiver, I can do it in any passing concept, or it can be my RPO this play. The tag becomes universal, so I can make a lot of things look more complex. I can add depth to very simple plays, but it's not complex for my kid. He knows a speed out is this tag. Last part here, Kenny. So how do we take what we have now and then simplify it to kind of make things more successful? So I've gone in, I've bought the gun tee, I bought the Joe Daniel pistol power offense, I bought End Zone from Noel Mazzoni, I bought the Bixby package. I bought. I'm air raid certified now. I've got all this stuff. I'm trying to use it all. How do I take all that and get it back down into one package that my kids can run this fall?
I think first you got to find an identity. What's your identity going to be? And there's lots of teams have won. I don't want to get on here and preach. Teams have won championships with about every identity you can think. So I'm not going to say this one wins over the other. Our belief, I can speak for our belief, is that you have to be able to run the ball and stop the ball before you can kind of progress to whatever else the next one is. That doesn't mean I'm right or wrong, but that's the way our program starts with our identity. So we start kind of there. What are our core runs going to be? What are our core run fits going to be on defense? We kind of start there. Then we will build out towards how do we attach, like Daniel said, how do you start to layer? All right. So for us, I'll give you just a real quick example. We run stick. Everybody runs stick. We didn't invent stick. We probably got it from somebody else. But basically for us, we did modify stick a little bit. We'll run an inside post. Basically, our number one receiver will run the post. Our number 2 or 3, depending on who we want to run the stick, will run the stick route, which is basically an option route at about 6 yards. Sit at 6 yards, work in or out, get open. Number 2 or 3, whichever one's not running the stick, knows we have some kind of flat route, depending on where we are. If we're on the line of scrimmage, to shoot. If we're coming from the backfield, it's usually a bubble. If we're coming from motion, it's usually a shoot or a bubble. Okay, so that's stick. All right. So we can run stick. We can tag it. We want to run stick with our number 2 receiver. Well, we got a word to make sure it says his position stick. We run stick. Maybe their trips adjustment is to jam number 2 and not let them. So now we're going to run stick with our number 3. So we'll call the word that tells him to run the stick. The other guy knows I run the shoot. X runs the post. Well, now I want to run that play, but the safety's biting on the stick. So I want my quarterback to read deeper. I want to read stick to post. Well, we got a word in our system that tells him now your eyes don't read the overhang. They read the safety. Well, then we can tag it, like Daniel said, to a run. No, let's just use buck because that's an easy one. We're going to run buck and we're going to run stick at the same time. Depending on our quarterback, we might pre-snap read that. There's 2 on 3. I want you to throw it, read what you normally read. It's 3 on 3. We're killing the pass, hand the ball off, run the ball. Okay. We might post-snap that, where we have a word that tells him you're going to read the inside linebacker on this after the snap. If he attacks buck, throw the stick. If he stays home, hand it off. So now we've taken, like Daniel said, we've taken one concept, stick. And I didn't even get into, we might motion into that. We might orbit our back late. Like we might flash him out late and he's number 3. We might bunch our kids up. There's lots of ways. So that's just the next element. So we've got different ways we can run stick to different kids from different formations. And now we can attach it to a run. And we can post snap, pre-snap it. We can read it deep to short. We can read it wide to in. That's kind of what I think of when I think of simple. Our receivers all learned stick. Like that's all they learned. Our linemen are either going to pass protect or they're going to run whatever we've attached to it. Like that's all you've done. Now, we can't do that with 35 concepts, but you can do that with maybe 3 or 4 other. Maybe we run the same idea, but we're going to run it off a snag. Same deal. We can tag who to read. We can get to snag different ways. We can attach snag to an RPO. There's lots of ways you can do this stuff, but you need to be really good at it because I can do all of the stuff I just talked about, and we suck at throwing and catching. It ain't gonna matter. Or we suck at block and buck. It ain't gonna matter. Like you got to make sure you do that part first, then you put them together. Like, can we down block? Can we pass pro? That's what our line have to know. Our receiver, do we understand how to run a stick? What if he plays inside leverage? I got to work out. What if he's outside leverage? I got to work in. I got to work that. I can't just run routes on air and add another concept, because I can't problem solve within it. And so you got to do that part first. Then you tag, layer, combine, or Daniel, I think it must be a Joe Daniel word, module, whatever his word is there.
Oh, that's me, baby. I
That's
coined
you?
something. It's modular.
Well, there you go. So the modular, whatever you're going to call it, but we would just call that layering. It's the same idea. We're going to take this concept we already have and blend it with this concept that we want to look at and have words that tell our quarterback when to do what.
Yeah.
And so that's, in my mind, offensively, if you flip it over, defense side of the ball, maybe it's a blitz. Maybe you have a word for edge blitz. Like we want to come off the edge. All right, well, who comes off the edge? Well, our outside linebacker comes off. Well, we need to have a word that tells him to come off the edge. What if I want to bring our Mike linebacker off the edge? What if I want to roll down a safety and bring him off the edge? How do we get to where that word can be tagged to multiple kids? Our D-line, if we're bringing an edge rusher, we're probably slanting the other direction. That should be inferred, but we need to teach it. What if I want to bring, I don't think I would want to, but what if I want to bring two guys off the edge? Could I do that? How would I roll the coverage to it? If I want to roll cover three, can I roll cover three with one of the safeties? Can I roll it with a flat corner where I can jump a screen? Can I roll it to the single receiver where I can basically double cover him? Can we take one coverage, roll it multiple ways, and then pair it again with our edge blitz? So I want to roll cover three and I want to blitz. I got to have the words that layer into that. But just like offense, if you suck at covering and tackling and you haven't taught them how to blitz, you can draw up whatever you want. The drawing of it is nice. The execution of it is way more important.
Yes. Getting those blitz paths, that's a very fun way, a very simple way teaching blitz paths, and then just tag it to whoever's going to go on them. That's awesome. You really kind of covered it all there, Kenny. I know that.
Sorry. Yeah.
No, it's okay. And I am just a pupil to you and Joe both. And so anytime I got you talking defense just now, and you're the gun T guy nowadays. So that's exciting for me to get to hear you're the way you think about that. I would just say, just put things into, like I said, into modules. And I like modular. I always think about our weapons, right? A military guy, you want to add all the flashy parts and pieces and lights and lasers and grips, and it's just a very modular system. So I think about the same thing in football. It's how my formations are, or my plays, whatever. So that's what I would try to recommend, is if you're trying to simplify what you have now and getting it down, burn it down. Just put that bad boy in the crock pot and cook it down to, a few core concepts. You've got to stick with some base ideas, trim all the extra stuff for a while. And then, Kenny, like I said, you can always add on later as your kids become more comfortable. You talked about a defensive lineman has to know to go away from a certain blitz. Once you get that baked in, you can do whatever you want off that edge. He knows, hey, something's going on out there. I better go away, right? So it's kind of the same thing on offense. Once you get gap scheme in, the kids will start to understand the differences. We were talking about ISO last night, me and actually Bo Collins, and how you have to block ISO and what are the old school rules. And I was like, heck, it's been 20 years since I've heard anyone get in power I and run ISO at a level that they were willing to tell me their blocking rules. Can we just do that at a duo? And he was like, yeah, I think you can. Like, football's so modular. You can teach your O linemen very core concepts, and then let all the crazy athletes in the backfield do all the other stuff, right? Let them do the modular stuff. So I think that's how you make things simple, simplify what you have, and get back to being super successful. And then you can expand as needed. All right, man. I think that's it, Kenny. I think we checked all the boxes today. Like I said, a little bit shorter episode. I didn't even fill out the situation of the week because I screwed up. So, I guess we'll cut it there. Sponsor ads, don't forget to go over, check out Ace Sports on acesports.com. Email mark.bridges@acesports.com if you want to kind of get in with him. And guys, it is absolutely a great time to be dealing with Ace. It's a great time to get those guys in front of your admin, get them in front of your AD, get them in front of your head coach if you're just an assistant or a coordinator or something. And heck, text Kenny, text me, like text the guys that can help give data and help give an understanding of what exactly Ace Sports is trying to do for you. and what those video boards really represent. Look, if you're a basketball guy or soccer or any other sport, it doesn't matter if you're indoors or outdoors, there's boards for you. We can get those in and then just show you how to make them a money-making machine. WinningEdgePerformanceAnalytics.com. Remember, Doug is adding to. He's got the foreshadowing going on now, so he's be able to analyze your opponent this week. I'm excited. Once again, I'll have way more details after our phone call, but it is an exciting time to kind of be a part of his program and getting into what he's doing. WinningEdgePerformanceAnalytics.com. Jump over there and see what's new today. Sign up. Use the 20 off Coaching 101. Yes, that'll give you 20% off your first year with this program. And then, of course, you still get all the new stuff that comes out. And then last but not least is Blended Threads LLC. Jump over to blendedthreadsllc.com or email Morgan at blendedthreadsllc.com and see what she can do to help you. Like maybe you just want to build a team store at your stadium. That's one of the coolest things I think Owasso did for the fans was you show up, you ain't got a sweater, they sell those here. We have a team store. Maybe you want to do coaching swag. Maybe you're wanting to order shirts for, players of the week, whatever. Let those guys kind of see what they can help you do price-wise. Social media, I am at Coach Chambo OK on Twitter/X. You can email me at chamberlainfootballconsulting@gmail.com and jump over to Patreon, patreon.com/chamberlainfootballconsulting. Find a tier that looks right for you. If there's not one there, DM me, email me. If you got my number, call me, text me. We'll make a tier that looks right. Kenny, where you at, sir?
All things FB Coach Simpson. So at FB Coach Simpson on Twitter, fbcoachsimpson@gmail.com. And then most of our stuff lives on fbcoachsimpson.com.
And there's a new website, right? GunTeeSystem.com. Is that
Yep.
right?
GunTeeSystem.com. Moved all the Gun Tee stuff over there. The system owners are there. We've got some free stuff we're giving away to kind of encourage people to go to that website as a free overview of the offense, a whole 30-40-minute course for free, giving away several PowerPoints as well. System owners, if you're listening to this and you want to be one, that cost is about to go up. We've added now 4 books since I've raised the price on it, so it's becoming a little more expensive. I had to obviously pay for a new website too. So if you want to be a system owner, you can take all the stuff you bought. We'll credit that towards you. And now's the time to do it because at the end of February, there's going to be a price increase on getting this. A one-time cost. You get every Gun Tee book. You get all the digital stuff. You get our film vault. You get all our installed footage. You get all our clinic footage. You get all that stuff. There's a ton of stuff, probably about 100 hours at this point. And I think it was 45 PowerPoints I just loaded up. So it's a ton of information. If you want on the Gun Tee, it's probably the most inclusive thing you can get. If you've already got a bunch of that stuff, we will credit that right back to you. Like we're not going to make you pay full price if you already got half the stuff.
Right. If you already bought all the
take that off. And then the best part of it is, if you get in and we add stuff, you get it for free if it's digital. And if it's physical, you just pay the cost it is for us to print it.
There you go. If there's previous Gun Tee system members, when they go to log into the website, is it all their same stuff or do they need to create a new account?
Yeah, we send an email out. So if you're not getting my email, which happens, sometimes they'll bounce around and do whatever. We have you're moving over for free. So, but you do have to there's a code I got to give you to let you move over for free. So email me or text me. If you're a system owner already, we're moving those guys over at no cost. It's a much cleaner site, much easier to navigate. I think they'll enjoy moving to this site because it's going to be a lot easier to kind of find what they want to find.
Love it. All right, man. We guys, we appreciate y'all jumping in today. I want to thank you for being a listener to the Coaching 101 podcast. We hope you'll join us next week as we continue to make the complex more simple. Please consider subscribing to the shows. You'll always know when the new episodes are out. Go to the websites. Go check out all the stuff. We'll leave you with this. It's hard to beat someone who never gives up. No matter the situation, find a way.